Welcome back to the Business Ignite podcast, where we light the fire for business growth and marketing success. Your hosts, Ethan Walker and Samantha Reed, bring you the latest trends, expert insights, and actionable strategies to fuel your business journey. Let's ignite your potential.
Welcome back. Ever get that feeling like, man, I really need to step up my game online?
Oh, yeah.
But then you start going down the rabbit hole of blog posts about SEO, and you just want to give up.
Yeah, I've been there.
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Right.
We found this article from 95 Visual, and it's like they took all the confusing stuff about building your brand online and just broke it down into like actionable steps, even if you have no idea what you're doing, which sometimes I feel like I don't.
Right. Like, where do you even start?
Exactly.
I think that's what I liked about this article is, it doesn't just give you these vague ideas. It's like, here's why it matters, and here's how it's going to actually help you make more money. Which, at the end of the day...
That's the goal, right.
Yeah.
So they start off talking about your website, which, okay, it's your online HQ. Like, we get it. It's the first place people go to check you out these days.
Yeah, it's your, digital storefront, pretty much.
Exactly.
But I think what's interesting is they don't just leave it at that. It's not enough to just have a website. It needs to actually be working for you, you know, like building that trust, showing people you're credible.
So it's not just a brochure.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we do that? Well, they mention SEO, which everybody and their mother is talking about SEO these days.
Oh, it's everywhere you look.
Right. But this article, they kind of cut through the noise and just tell you the absolute bare minimum that you need to do for SEO. Even if you don't know code or anything like that.
Yeah, they're not talking about becoming a tech wizard or anything. They're just make sure your website's easy to read. Use words that people are actually searching for, which, makes sense. Make sure it looks good on your phone.
Oh, so important these days.
So important. And then, when you upload pictures, give them a name that tells you what they are.
Okay, so it's like basic stuff, but it makes such a difference. I feel like a lot of times you get into that SEO world and it's just like, oh my God.
It's very overwhelming.
Yeah, but this article makes it feel doable, which I appreciate.
It does. And they actually link to another article where they go even more in depth if you want to get into the weeds of it.
Perfect. So we'll link that in the show notes for anyone who wants to check that out. Another thing they emphasized, which I'll admit I'm terrible at, is blogging.
Okay, yeah.
They recommend at least once a week, which I don't know about you.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with.
Especially if you're already busy running a business.
Right, exactly.
But I will say, the thing that they talk about, why it's so important, is that consistency is key. It's like if you think of your blog like a storefront.
I like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't just set up shop and then never change the display window. You got to keep it fresh to get people interested.
Okay, that's a good point.
Right. So by blogging consistently, you're kind of doing that. You're telling Google, hey, I'm still relevant, but you're also showing your audience that you know what you're talking about.
So it's not just about putting out any old content.
No, it's got to have value.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. And they have some good ideas, you can share stories about your customers, hey, look how this product helped this person, or even just quick tips about your industry or behind the scenes. People love behind the scenes stuff.
People love behind the scenes. It makes you feel like you're part of it.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of telling Google what's up, they also mentioned something called website submission, which I have to admit I had never heard of before reading this article.
Okay, yeah.
So what is that? Is it worth my time?
It's kind of when you launch a new product or you've updated your website with something cool, it's like sending out a little bat signal to the search engines.
Okay.
Being like, hey, check this out. We've got new stuff.
So it's like telling them to come to re-index it or to come to look at it.
Exactly. So they know to update their records.
Yeah.
And the good news is a lot of these are free.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay to do this.
Oh, okay, good.
Even just going to Google and saying, hey, I've got a new website or I've updated this page, that can make a big difference.
Huh, interesting.
And then there are some industry-specific ones. So if you're in a particular niche, you can find directories just for that.
Oh, that's a great idea. I hadn't even thought about that. Okay, so we've covered the website, the online HQ. Let's talk about the thing that I think makes everybody nervous, social media.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's favorite and least favorite thing.
I know. I feel like it's where I get the most overwhelmed. What am I supposed to be posting? What am I doing? And this article had an interesting take on social media because they said it's not about directly selling to your customers, which kind of surprised me. I was like, well, what's the point then?
It's easy to think that, right? Oh, I've got to get on Instagram and tell everyone to buy my stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But really, At its core, it's about building relationships.
Okay.
Because, let's be honest, people can spot a sales pitch from a mile away.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But if you're consistently showing up, you're being helpful, you're providing value, you're engaging with people, they start to trust you.
Right. It's like that, like end trust factor that everybody talks about.
Exactly. And then they're way more likely to actually become a customer down the line because they know you, they like you, they trust you. It's not just some random ad they're scrolling past.
Okay, I like that. So how do we do that then? How do we make those connections without feeling like we're constantly trying to sell something?
Well, they have this phrase that I love. It's called background selling.
Okay, yeah, I was curious about that. I saw that in the article.
It's brilliant. It's basically like you're not shoving your product down people's throats, but you're subtly positioning yourself as an expert. You're providing value.
Yeah.
So let's say you're a baker.
Okay.
Right. You don't have to constantly be like, buy my cakes, buy my cookies.
Mm-hmm.
You could share behind the scenes, like how you make your frosting.
Oh, people love that.
Right. Or like share a recipe that people could try at home.
Right, which builds that trust, right?
Exactly.
Like you were saying.
You're becoming a resource. Or even just responding to comments, asking questions, sharing stuff that you find interesting, even if it's not directly related to your business.
So just being a real person.
Exactly. Be a human.
Yeah.
People buy from people they like.
That's true. Now, they mentioned something that I thought was kind of funny. They mentioned forums.
Oh, yeah.
Are those still a thing?
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
I know it sounds kind of old school, but like people are still hanging out in these spaces talking about stuff they're passionate about.
Okay.
And these are people who are already interested in your niche.
That's true. They're already there.
They're already there.
Yeah.
So it's a prime opportunity for you to go in and establish yourself as an expert.
Okay. So how do we use forums effectively without being spammy?
Right. Because nobody likes a spammer.
No one likes a spammer.
It's all about being genuine. Go in there, answer questions thoughtfully, offer your experience, share some resources, even link to your own stuff occasionally, but only if it's actually helpful and relevant.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, buy my thing.
Right. This forum's about cats, but buy my dog food.
Exactly. Like, read the room.
Read the room.
Be a part of the community.
Okay.
Provide value.
So it's kind of like networking, but online.
Exactly. Think of it like that. You're not going to walk into a networking event and just be like, here's my business card, buy my stuff.
Right. Nobody wants to talk to that person.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got our website. It's amazing. We're on social media. We're being a real person. We're helping people out. They mentioned this thing about connecting the dots. And I thought, well, that seems kind of obvious, but I know I've been guilty of treating my website and my social media as very separate things.
Yeah, and it's easy to do, right?
Totally.
But you wouldn't open a store and then not have a sign.
Or like a door.
Or a door. You got to make it easy for people to get in.
That's such a good way to think about it.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, your website, your social media, they should all work together. Put links to your social media on your website. When you write a blog post, share it everywhere.
Yeah.
Even just having that consistent branding.
So it feels like the same, like it's all connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier for people to find you, to learn more, to ultimately become a customer. You're creating this clear path for them.
Instead of making them jump through hoops.
Exactly.
Okay. So, big picture, we've covered a lot of ground today. If our listeners are only going to remember one thing from this whole deep dive, what should it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Mm.
I think going back to what we were saying about social media, it's really about shifting your mindset from selling to serving.
Yeah.
This article really highlighted that building a brand online is about building relationships, providing value. Be that go-to expert in your niche. Don't just tell people you're great, show them.
I love that.
And remember, it takes time. You're not going to become an overnight success just because you posted on Instagram once.
Right. It's a marathon.
Exactly. Just keep showing up, making those connections, and you'll get there.
So for everyone listening, we're going to leave you with a little something to think about. We spent this whole deep dive talking about expanding your existing brand. But what about those of you who are just starting out?
Ooh, good question.
What are your first steps if you don't even have a website yet? Or your social media is brand new? How do you even begin to build that presence from scratch? Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time on The Deep Dive, keep exploring and keep building those incredible brands.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Ignite podcast, where we fuel your business growth and marketing success. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to rate and review us it does help others find the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Business Ignite Podcast and share this episode with a friend. Keep the fire burning, and remember, your success is just one strategy away. Until next time, stay ignited.